We've got to continue to make the experience better for our people because we're in the hospitality business, and if we treat our people well, they treat our customers well.
Welcome to Reinvented with Accenture. I'm Julie Sweet. I am so excited today to be talking with Chris Kempczinski, Chairman and CEO of McDonald's. Hi, Chris. How are you? Good to see you. Chris, as I was thinking about our conversation today, I was thinking about actually my own experiences with McDonald's because, I started as a young kid. My aunt used to visit. My parents didn't have a lot of money, and the greatest thing about my aunt was every Saturday night, she would take us to McDonald's.
That sounds like an awesome aunt.
Yes, so she was awesome. And then, as I think back over these years, McDonald's has actually changed a ton. And yet, at the same time, I have that same feeling. McDonald's is one of the most successful brands in history. And so when things are working this well, what tells you it's time to change? And what feels riskier to you as a CEO, like changing too much or not changing enough?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, we've got a founder, Ray Kroc here, who had a great expression. He said, if you're not green and growing, you're ripe and rotting. And it goes all the way back 70 years ago to when we were founded. And so this idea of continuously reinventing is something that we've been doing for our entire history. And I think as I think about when it happens, it's kind of a combination of two things. Either the opportunity or the environment changes, or your capabilities change. And in our case right now, we're in a situation where both are changing. One of the things that is important is that we make sure that the world inside McDonald's is moving as fast as the world outside of McDonald's. And so you kind of put all those together, and I think we're in a time here where we get to reimagine the business, which is so fun.
When you've talked about your reinvention, the first part of it was reinventing the company behind it.
Yep.
And so when you think about that transformation and the things that we've done together, the global business services, and it's very broad, data and AI, how were those capabilities and that change really critical to bringing the vision to life?
Sure. Well, we've talked about what we need to do in this environment is we as a company need to be faster, we need to be more innovative, we need to be more efficient. And the ability for us to do that, quite honestly, we were handicapped by our systems. You guys have been a huge partner in that because we had basically to build from scratch 3 platforms. We had to build a consumer platform, there needed to be a restaurant platform, and then there needs to be a company platform where we're going to have all the sort of things behind the house to ensure we as a corporation can deliver and execute against the vision we all saw.
I think what is so amazing about the reinvention you're leading is it's so holistic. If we zoom into the restaurant level at the moment, what feels different today for customers, franchisees, and crews versus a few years ago?
If you go back to when you were talking about as a kid going to McDonald's, there were really only 2 ways to order at McDonald's. You'd go to the front counter or you'd go through the drive-thru. And with the rise of digital, with the rise of delivery, there's now actually 11 different ways that you can be ordering at McDonald's, which adds a ton of complexity into the operations of a restaurant. But they're expecting an even greater degree of personalization. I've added all this complexity, but I actually expect you to know me even better. And I'm not willing to compromise at all on taste or speed or any of those other things. And because this is happening across the industry, we see it actually as a great opportunity for us because we expect we should be able to do that better than anybody else.
You've already led the company through big change. What are the next big bets you're making?
Sure. Well, it's McDonald's next. And that was our strategy to answer the question that I was getting asked by everybody, franchisees, suppliers, which is what's next? There's really going to be 4 pieces to McDonald's next. First is menu next. So what does the menu need to look like in 5 years' time? The fact of the matter is our menu is based on what sells. The customer expectations and what they're eating and what they want on the menu is changing. And so our menu is going to change as part of that. Consumer next, which is the second piece of our strategy, is about changing how we interact with customers and how we market to customers. The campaigns have gone from being something that happened over weeks to it's something that's happening literally daily. But ultimately, nothing is real until it's real in the restaurant. It's great that we can change the menu and we can say, okay, this is going to be what it looks like. It's great that we're going to figure out ways to drive awareness and get customers in the restaurant, but we have to pay it off in the restaurant. The experience that we're promising, we have to be able to deliver, and that's the third piece of this, which is Restaurant Next. And how do we need to change the restaurant experience, both for our crew, but also then ultimately for the customer. And finally, People Next is the last piece of this, which is we've got to continue to make the experience better for our people, because we're in the hospitality business, and if we treat our people well, they treat our customers well.
Do you think this idea of like a permanent or continuous reinvention is real? You know, how do you think about it? And how does it affect you personally, right? Because you've been leading McDonald's through a ton of changes. You're about to start more. How does that, change your own leadership?
Yeah. Well, it's probably the question I spend the most time thinking about, because you're always trying to think about, as a CEO, what's the strategy? How am I going to allocate resources? How am I going to prioritize? And then what am I going to do? And how am I going to put people against that? And it's easy for a CEO to come up with a whole bunch of ideas. The risk is when the CEO comes up with more than what the organization can go execute against. And so, I'm always thinking about that, but it goes back to what we were talking about. But when the environment changes and or your capabilities change, that's the time that you need to go drive change as an organization. And so we've stuck with the same strategy for the last 6 years because it was working and we didn't need a change. But now I think we're in a situation where we do need to make this pivot, and that's what we're going to do.
I am super excited to see the next chapter.
Yeah, well, thanks for helping bring it to life, because you guys have been a big part of it.
No, well, I love the opportunity to visit in person, because the absolute best McDonald's food is in your downstairs restaurant.
I love it. You're welcome anytime.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris.